Yo, yo. All right. Move this shit. Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Did I see the new orange stuff? No. I don't really play Orn. I do not want to play Orn. Not right now. Give me like 2 seconds. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. I got to go get something. 2 seconds. Fucking tired. So busy. All right. Better. All right, yo, yo. Instead, you'd be able to upgrade all legendary items. That's pretty insane, no? That's cool. I like that. I think that's way better, honestly. The fuck is wrong with the lag? That sounds cooler, honestly. Still not going to play them, but that's cool. Maybe they're going to try and push, like, orange support. Maybe orange support's going to be a thing. Possibly. Okay. Time to work. Zug dabu. Work. Something me doing? Wait, isn't that the wrong race? Aren't we doing dwarves? Pretty good. Tired. Very busy. Very busy. I've got a few hours to do stuff today. And then maybe bedtime, and then tomorrow I'll stream when I get the face cam. Because I have face cams on this stream. I have a face cam here, and then I have a camera here, but my main setup is missing a face cam, and I want to do that first. I want to have it enabled. So I'm just going to wait until it arrives in the mail tomorrow, because that's when it shows up, and then I'll stream. So in the meantime, actually, you know what? Tomorrow there's quite a bit of things. So, like, there's the pre-orders, which could be the dwarves. I'm not going to say they are, because at this point I've given up. They could be. They probably aren't, knowing the current track record of, like, showing new things from GW. So chances are tomorrow's going to be fucking God knows what. Still going to watch it on this channel immediately, because you never know. And after that, then I guess we stream. No, what the fuck? It's called cutting your nails. What? Okay. Give me the blade. Yeah, we'll see, though, with what's going on tomorrow. Maybe we get lucky, maybe we don't. Maybe we get garbage. Look, you thought you were watching a video. Does it look like a video? Kind of does, eh? The background. I'm trying to be professional. Something I don't do often. I made the background black. Professional. Fancy schmancy. Big money. Post it in the new channel. Be the first person to show what money you've spent. They're good, though. Those are good minis. They look way better than the entire Fireslayer range. Which isn't really saying much, but, like, it's a vast improvement. It does look way better. One of the biggest problems with the Fireslayers is that they all look the same in a very bad way. They're just kind of ugly. But the new kit looks really good. Looks kind of what they should look like. Oh, they're garbage, yeah. It's not that they're, like, poorly sculpted. It's that they're just not sculpted very lively, I guess is the way to put it. Like, the guy who sculpted them knows what he's doing. It's just, they don't look like they're alive. They don't look like they're doing anything. Which, to me, is kind of boring. And I'm sure a lot of people agree. Like, of all the Age of Sigmar races, the Fireslayers look the worst. Unfortunately. Of course, very subjective, but there's just no, like, there's no character to them, is my complaint. I use Citadel. I'm not one to go out and, like, look for a billion different brands. Citadel, to me, is, like, the most convenient, so that's what I use. Beginner stuff, people do like Army Painter, and I think it is a little bit cheaper than Games Workshop paint, so that's always good, right? I think Army Painter's a little bit more beginner-ish friendly. Like, not really, but should be a bit. We never caught the mouse, but we put mouse traps down. So now we're waiting. Also, look what I got. You little bastard made me go fucking look for this thing. What does it say? Forge World Zeppelin? What a nightmare those were to find. I had to go through my whole fucking garage. They were in, like, the back of 20 bins, in a bin at the bottom of the bins, surrounded by fucking, like, curses and ritualistic, like, sacrifices. It was not a good time. Yeah, I haven't made them yet. They've just sat in a box for fucking, I don't even know how many years at this point. My hair is tied up because it's not worthy of being let down. It's too fucked up. I'm only going to let my hair down if it's long enough. Otherwise, there's no point because it's so horribly cut. Yeah, those are the War Master ones. Well, this is a gyrocopter. So, like, there's the front of the gyro. But the Zeppelins were only made in War Master. Or made for War Master. They did have rules. The Thunder Barge actually had rules in the Monstrous Arcanum book, which was a Forge World, like, supplement thing where you could kind of bring in a bunch of different monsters and weird things. But there was no miniature ever made, so you had to make your own Thunder Barge. Games Workshop did a lot of that stuff back in the day, where creating your own miniature, but using a rule set was kind of like the standard for a lot of weird niche things. And then over time, Games Workshop just became like, if there's no model, there's no rule, right? So, no more barge, no more anything. Like, they even had Vampire Coast units. They had the fucking Necrofex Colossus, the giant, like, undead ship with cannons. Yeah, but you could never use them unless you had made them. A lot of old Games Workshop, again, was like that. Like, they'd always advertise in books like, oh, go create your own minis, create your own scenery, create your own narrative. You know, you could still do a bit of that, but it wasn't, like, it's no longer in your face in terms of advertising. No. Maybe Queen Bess was in, like, the actual Vampire Coast stories. I haven't read them. I think there's a novel. There's maybe, like, 2 novels with Coast, I think. And then there's also Dreadfleet, which I believe is a novel in itself. I don't know. That I'm not sure. Vampire Coast wasn't really anything. They were, as an army, they were thrown into, like, a magazine. And then, like, hey, here's the Vampire Coast. Miniatures in a magazine. They never had, like, a big release, like an army book or anything specific where you could kind of go see everything. I will be playing Space Marine 2, yeah. Yes. When it does decide to come out. Which is when? Yeah, I did find it. I'll show you it in a sec. There's 2 of them. I wonder where you get the rules for the thing. Because it was playable in game, I believe. But they're not. The rules aren't in the base book. I don't know if there was like a supplement or something that came afterwards, because I haven't really played War Master. I just know of it and have a few things from it. People do love that game, though. People still play it with, like, updated rules and everything, and there's a new fan-made, like, hardcover book. Oh, it was in Man of War. Was it really? So Man of War was the old, again, like I said yesterday, it was like a naval battles game. 40K's equivalent was like Battlefleet Gothic, where it was space combat with a bunch of ships. Fantasy's version was like on the ocean. So maybe it wasn't one of them. Do you think Space Marine 2 is going to have PvP? Maybe. I mean, it should have like Tyranid on Space Marine PvP. Imagine if it just had like Chaos Space Marines again, which is so boring. No, I didn't. Man of War is a metal band. Yes, I don't think they've taken inspiration from Warhammer. I could be wrong to a degree, but there was a Warhammer-inspired band called fucking Bolt Thrower, who had a bunch of GW art, or at least the same artists do like their front covers, I believe, which was cool. Small world, eh? Oh, yeah. It's just a matter of, what was Man of War's the band? What did they sing about? I've heard of them. I've listened to a few of their songs, but, like, I don't know them well enough to, like, know their songs. Maybe they just like ships. I didn't cut my hair. It's just tied up. Generic power metal stuff. I don't know. I don't think they're pirate themed. I'm not sure. I know they're an older band for sure. You know, if you go ask your dad or something who likes metal, be like, "Oh yeah, Man of War, dude. I love them." I love them. Okay. We can take a look at the balloons. Is Atlan Keys still here? Do you want to see the balloons? Or do I do it later? Okay, you're still here. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. So the first balloon. When I was in my storage, I also brought out a bunch of long-drawn Slayer pirates. Oh my god, it's Total War in real life. So yeah, there's some pirates with a shit ton of, like, flintlocks. I don't know where you put them, but, you know. Slayer pirates, cool. They used to fart and reduce, like, it was a negative modifier to hitting them because they drank so much of their own fucking, like, potent ale. Cool. Yeah, those are the ones in Total War. Slayer pirates. All right. So the first balloon is a dwarven airship. That's what it's called. Dwarven airship. The dwarven airship, I don't know much on this one compared to the other one. but it was a miniature version, like a gun platform. So there's the, is the word dirigible? The dirigible? The balloon portion. There's the balloon. I believe it would go like this, if I'm not mistaken. The coolest thing about this one is that they actually had minis on the thing with guns. I can't build it, obviously, because, like, you know, pieces aren't going to stick together, but they actually had little thunderers kind of shooting off of this thing, which was cool. I found that a bit fun. If I could... And these things have, like, bubbles and everything. Aye, aye, aye. Yeah, they're pretty tiny. Let me zoom in. You know what? No, I'm not going to zoom in. It'll fuck it up. So, yeah, that was one of them. And then it would just kind of, like, sit here. So just imagine this little blimp thing. You know, a bunch of thunderers shooting off it. Whatnot. Little propeller. That is the front of it. You could use it as a stamp. Stamp of approval. No, there's no base. The bases for these were, I think, just squared, like... I think they were... I don't even know, man. I think this one in particular, it probably had some rectangle. That's really what it was, unless it's in the bag. The box. Ooh. Nope. No base. Maybe originally it did come with a base. I remember picking this up off of eBay a long time ago. So, the one I got, it didn't have a base. But the Big Mama was the Zeppelin. So here is what it would look like when it's done. The other one didn't have that. The gas bag rear. They call it the gas bag. There you go. Cannons, ropes, rudders, propellers, propeller shaft, gondola. This came out in 2002. The same year, I believe Dragon Slayer came out in terms of its second edition cover. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was it 2002? Because they used it for Gotrek and Felix. Again, there was an original cover done. I think the first release was, what, 99 or something? Maybe this book did come out in 2002. I don't think it did, though. $2003, really? So a year? No, first published in 2000. Right there. First published in 2000, second edition was 2003. So this came out a year after this was released. So it kind of made it onto the front cover of Dragon Slayer, which I don't know how accurate the Spirit of Grungni is compared to this, but I don't think it's so accurate. But so yeah, cool. I wish it was, you know, actually the Spirit of Grungni, because that would have been badass. But it is, nonetheless, a giant, much bigger, like if you want to compare gas bags. Not to sound like I've got a bigger one, even though I kind of do. This is the Zeppelin. This is the airship. So very fucking big. And of course the front. Recent ones more inspired by more modern steampunk aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I think for the most part, like, if the dwarves were to make airships, they wouldn't really be made of too much wood. Wood isn't really a big thing for dwarves. It's very cool, though. And then, yeah, anyways, all the little bits and bobs. Very cool. So yeah, those are the airships. Those are the only 2 official airships they've ever released. Where do you get your Warhammer books? I mean, a long time ago you could get them from GW, but now it's like bookstores, like old secondhand bookstores. You can go to eBay. I actually recently picked up a book that I didn't own and I've never read, and it's more of like a novella. It's not really it's not a big thing. It was from the starter set way back when. The starter set that started it all for me. I got fucking Battle for Skull Pass. So I'm going to be reading this. But it's like 123 pages. There's literally nothing to it. But that's cool. I think a while ago they also made like they did some for Blackreach. I think they did some for, or rather just one. Like most of the starter sets that came out ages ago, they just came out with like a little novel type of thing. Like, high in the mountains, the dwarfs fight an eternal battle against their greenskin enemies, the orcs and goblins. When the ambitious Dagscar Earscrapper sets his sights on taking Skull Pass, the conflict between goblins and dwarves is reignited. Anyways, yeah. So it's a little nothing book. Nathan Long, guy did a bunch of Go Trek and Felix stuff. The latter half of, like, most of their adventures. Well, I mean, Warhammer books, I guess it depends on, like, each author as to how you're going to like them. Because, you know, some people do write differently. I would try eBay. Some books are cheap. Some books are expensive. This book was a little expensive despite its size, just because it's rare. You know, initially it's like, oh yeah, walk into a Games Workshop, $5 Canadian. Ooh, inflation hit this one bad. But yeah, when it comes to like general Warhammer books, they're not that expensive. Books typically do go up like into the hundreds range, depending on which one you're looking for. Or you can just get them online, right? Like, I'm not going to say go find a PDF or anything, but you can go to the Black Library website and buy them for like $10 a read if you want to read off of a computer. Getting the book signed. Nah, it's okay. I have a signed book. I just don't know who the fuck signed it. I picked it up from an ex-Games Workshop manager when he sold me a bunch of dwarf stuff like 15 years ago or something. And it was the 6th edition army book for dwarves. And I have absolutely no idea who signed it. Maybe it was just his friends from like the store, but maybe it wasn't. What are we building? A gyrocopter. Very slowly. So yeah, that's it. That was them. Yo. Good, we're chilling. Yeah, the gyrocopter I will. Today, Tobias will clean up 3 mold lines. Actually, I was going to glue because I can do this whole engine bit. I'm trying to think of it in terms of, like, sub-assemblies. And, the engine can basically just be glued together completely if you wanted to build it and paint it. So, yeah. That is it. Now I must continue. But I mean, there are a lot of mold lines, unfortunately. Five months later, dude, I pulled it out. Okay, that sounds weird. I pulled it out so long ago and showed the stream. That also sounds weird. It is entombed right now in a acrylic case. Huh? It sounds weird, I know, but like, it's right on screen. It's right there. That's it. It is over there. It is kind of a bitch to take out. I don't know if I will do anything crazy with it. Probably not. Where'd the other bit go? Show me. Okay, chill out. What are your plans for this channel going forward? Are you intrigued by any games? I mean, this is more of like a Warhammer channel, honestly. I'm more inclined to just like chill and make minis if I can. I think what'll happen is when Space Marine comes out, I'll be playing Space Marine 2. If there's any other games that kind of pique my interest, I'll be playing it. I will play Total War. The big thing is that this channel's kind of meant for stuff like this. That was the initial idea. Cooking streams are on the main channel. And there is one coming up because we are going to be cooking a meal from HelloFresh. I want a sponsorship again from Factor. I need Factor in my life because I'm such a fat bastard, and microwaving meals for me is just so much easier, even though they're healthy. I'll show you in about 10 minutes, Sharkaden. Did you get a sponsorship from HelloFresh? Yeah, I got to lose some weight. Are there even any new things coming out for Warhammer Fantasy? Yeah. I mean, any day now we're going to see new Dwarven pre-orders. Things we've seen, but like we're going to essentially know what's coming to be purchased. And it's no longer Warhammer Fantasy, right? It's like the old world. You got to get the terminology right, or you're going to get destroyed online. It's like, you play what, Grandpa? No, I play the old world. Sorry, what's that? Or not old world, Warhammer Fantasy. Let's get you back to bed, Grandpa. Your lead goblins are getting to your head. Back in my day, I used to chew on the fucking mold lines. I'd scrape them with my teeth. Lead never tasted so good. You kids these days are so soft, all you do is inject microplastics. You're a coward. Delicious microplastics. Age of Reckoning. I know of it, and I know that there's still a fan thing going on for it, but no, I never fucked with it. When Age of Reckoning was out, I'm 99% sure I didn't have a good PC. And a good PC is kind of what I needed way back when. You can tell the kids about the original Lord of the Rings movies. I went back and I started to watch the fucking, like, Lord of the Rings cartoon. That movie. And it's interesting. It's not the worst thing I've seen. On the train ride down here, I ended up watching Return of the King. Still a good movie as ever, obviously. I would say it is the best Lord of the Rings movie of the three. My personal favorite was like Return of the King, Fellowship, and then Two Towers. I know people live and die by like the Battle of Helm's Deep, but the Fellowship just felt like an adventure. And I love seeing Moria, even if it is decrepit and everyone's dead. Never fucked with them. I never really fucked with Diablo. I played it, but like it wasn't really my thing. Way back when. A little bit sacrilegious, but you know what? That's life sometimes when you're a kid, you know? Now's your chance. Yeah, maybe. Once I'm settled past July, yeah, possibly. Probably my time I went to the theater. Favorite time I went to the theater. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I did see Return of the King in theaters as well. That was the only Lord of the Rings film I saw in theaters. The animation was a fucking weird, like, it was a fever dream. The first, like, weird Lord of the Rings thing put to film was bizarre. Very bizarre. But I guess if that's all you had for that time, it's like, well, not bad, I guess. It definitely does its own thing. It's like you can't even compare it to like the actual movies. So it's its own little adventure of do not be on shrooms and watch this video. They invented effects for that movie. I mean, it looked fucking bizarre, man. It looked really bizarre. So I wouldn't be surprised. That is a strange film. Every time they showed like the orcs or not the Nazgul, the ring wraiths, they were like weird, muddied humanoids, and they had like red piercing eyes. It was very bizarre. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what that particular like effect is called. Yeah, the animated one. The bizarre animated one. When the Great Eagles came. I mean, that whole movie is just good, man. So much action. I always preferred the Siege of Gondor to like Helm's Deep. Pelennor Fields to Helm's Deep. Like, that's just crazy. A rotoscope. It was something like that, yeah. Very bizarre. I don't know if it was done well enough to the point where like people looked at it and said, "Damn, I got to make a movie like that." Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I have no idea. I am not cultured when it comes to the animated Lord of the Rings movie. I know they tried to sell a bunch of matte paintings. They tried to sell a few matte paintings from that on eBay, and they looked awesome. Haven't we heard this song 90 times in a row? The coolest thing about those Lord of the Rings films is going to a Games Workshop right afterwards and seeing all the minis of them. That was the GOAT. That was the greatest. Or not even seeing them from the film, but seeing like Balin and his Khazad guard, or like fucking Moria, Durbaz, the Goblin King, or Durbers. That was cool. Minas Tirith fight more than Helm's Deep, even though I thought I definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're both cool, and people love them both. I think obviously you can have a preference, but like at the end of the day, they're both badass. Yeah, they're weird. It's like a fevered. It's like a like sleep paralysis. It's a sleep paralysis demon in a movie, and there's a lot of them. Best way to describe it: sleep paralysis demon. Very strange. I mean, that'd be cool. They did a game on that. It's not really the fall of it, but it's more of like the reclamation, you know? We played that game on stream. It was okay. Kind of felt cheapish, but it was cool. Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, it's bizarre. It's like you're tripping out. That's why I'm saying it's like if you were tripping and you watch that movie, you'd probably lose your shit. I think it's unanimously kind of not the goat of Lord of the Rings content. Not to say much. I don't think it's the goat. Yeah, this is a scalpel. It's as sharp as it comes. It's like a surgeon tool. I'm a surgeon. If you were dead on the floor, I could save you because I've worked on Warhammer minis. I could bring you back to life with, like, Warhammer necromancy. It's fucking mold lines. Thankfully, all of this work isn't in vain because gyrocopters are actually good in-game. They are worth taking. You can be very obnoxious with them, as they are kind of supposed to be obnoxious anyways. Too bad you can't run like 50 of them in like Total War. That meta's far gone. Sad world we live in. I think this is good enough for now. Played the minigame. What? Have I played the minigame? What does that mean? That is Thorin's map. It's like an Etsy. It was from Etsy, and it's a blanket. It's a throw blanket. It's a bit swaggy. It's the map to Erebor. Beautiful Erebor. The first thing we're going to do is get addicted to gold once again. And let everyone die. And then let ourselves die. The main game, I don't know how you say it, Warhammer with models. The tabletop game? Have I played the tabletop game recently? I haven't done any tabletop gaming. I've watched a bunch of content on tabletop gaming. Because like the new game that came out is it wasn't a custom request, no, it was just the guy selling it. So the old world is fantasy, I believe, but slightly simplified, like a little bit more so. I think I haven't read all the rules yet for the old world, and I know people have played it, so they'd probably be able to tell me more. But I've seen games on YouTube. I don't have a full army built to be able to even play it. At one point, sure, but all that's gone now. So the only real way to play was like through Tabletop Simulator, or you could use a website called Warhol. Warhol is like an independent site that is like Tabletop Simulator, but it's meant for rank and flank games. I think it was initially designed also to be kind Because when Fantasy had died, people kind of made their own editions. I think it was called the Ninth Age, was like a fan edition of Warhammer Fantasy when the game wasn't supported by Games Workshop. And that website essentially just allows you to play Old World, like in simulated form. You know, you still roll dice and do whatever, but like everything is done on the PC. But I have no time. I got no time from all the shit I'm doing in real life to then streaming like periodically, you know, only an hour here, hour there. No time. And if I want to relax after a day of doing shit, because we're going to be busy for about a month straight, I'm just going to sit here and scrape mold lines. That's how I relax. I snort microplastics and scrape mold lines on a unit I'll never play with for about 3 years. That's how that works. So, yeah. I'd love to play a physical tabletop game, but my armies were sold long ago. Long time ago. Okay. I believe the way this works is this needs to be glued into here. And then it connects to, like, here. Step 1 is doing this. This is gluing step 1. So let's clean these up really quickly and then glue. My orcs now. What do you mean? You want knobs? I'll give you 300 more knobs. I don't have that many. I thought about going back and playing Orcs and Goblins, but I really don't want to. It's more money to spend and more time. Too many knobs, bro. I used to have a bunch of full armies. Thousands points of like, well, thousands of points of Orcs and Goblins, Dwarves, Empire, Imperial Guard, Orcs. I had like a couple hundred points of Necrons, Tau, Chaos Space Marines, just a bunch of like weird shit growing up. I had Gondor, I had like Moria Goblins and all that crap. Child support will do that. And saving all your money and buying Warhammer, that will also do that. Every birthday, my dad would come by once a year, and he'd be like, okay, son, time to go get child support, you know, done and over with. And he's like, where do you want to go? Games Workshop. And so we'd go into Games Workshop, and he'd be like, oh, the Stompa looks great. You want a Stompa? Damn right I want a Stompa. You want to be in jail? How about the Baneblade? Give me the Baneblade. So, it was fun. Although we weren't like that, obviously. He was my dad, so. Every year we'd go to, once a year, I'd see my father, and we'd go once a year to Games Workshop. Well, outside of that, you know, I'd go down with, like, allowance money or chore money, shit like that. Birthday money. My grandfather said, if you ace your test, I'm going to take you to Games Workshop and I'll get you whatever you want. One thing. One box of guys. And so I aced my test, and he took me to Games Workshop, and I got Knights of Minas Tirith. The metal Knights of Minas Tirith on the plastic horses, that's what we got. I talked to him about it recently, and he doesn't remember because he's like 95, but, you know. To get into Warhammer, what do you think the starting budget is? $200. Around that, 200-ish if you want like paint and everything. I just bought the ultimate starter set yesterday. I'm super excited to learn 40K. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, there's so many resources out there now on learning and playing things that, like, you can pick it up in a weekend. And it's fun. I haven't played new 40K, but, like, actually, what edition are we on in 40K? Is this 11th edition 40K? 10th. Okay, so I think I started 9th edition. Like, well, not started 9th, but, like, the last time I played was 9th. I don't fuck with 40K anymore. I have no time for that, and Old World's back, or rather Warhammer Fantasy's back, so me and 40K, we don't go hand in hand. Much love from Brazil. Grim, hello, sir. Thank you, buddy. It's called the Ultimate Starter Set. Is that what it was called? I thought he just kind of said that out of, like, being excited. That's cool. Yeah, I don't fuck with starter sets anymore, just because they don't really carry the armies I care about, and I've got, like, the minis I want, so there's no point in buying them anyways. But I think for people getting into the hobby, or, like, making their force bigger, if you've also got a friend who plays the other half, they're a good investment. I did keep some. Okay, I'm looking at one of the few remaining things from when I did Warhammer back in 2006. Like, well, at least for fantasy, I should say. So it's sitting on my desk. This was purchased and painted and glued in 2006. I don't know. How old was I? I'm 27 right now. So 96, I was 10 years old when I painted these. And did the basing, did everything. They're all fucked up. My dwarves are well gone. The rest of the goblins are well gone. But this is a bit of nostalgia, because it was my first starter set ever for Warhammer Fantasy. But it is a blast from the past. I remember sitting in my room with my CD player, blasting fucking Billy Talent and Windeer, painting dwarves and night goblins. So, yeah, they're very dusty, but yeah, this was from when I was 10. They look all right. I think for 10 years old, I mean, fucking hell. Pretty cool. I remember going in and repainting them so many times. Like, not years later, but, like, when I had done them initially, I wasn't happy with, like, a certain color, so I'd go back in and, like, meticulously pick out a bunch of shit again, just to make sure I got it right. But, I wish I never sold all the stuff I had growing up, because it really is nostalgia. It's a trip down memory lane. It can kind of, like, unlock core memories in your brain that haven't really been tapped into since that time. And this is really all I have left from that time period in terms of painted, completed things. 11 or 12, my mom had to help me. I mean, I was always artistic. Like, my mom was heavily into art. I was into art. We'd build and paint stuff. So, like, I was kind of guided to this point. But again, I had, like, I don't know if OCD is the word or something, but again, like, I'd go back in and repaint things and pick out stuff. So, yeah. I like it. Tried to paint them like the box art, because the older Night Goblins had the red wooded shafts, whereas the new ones have, like, brown. And the red looks so much better than the brown. Like, that's so iconic. So, not sure what the older ones had. I think it was, like, 4th edition Night Goblins. They had a different colored wood that they used. I was proud of mine, and they're awful compared to that. I mean, come on, man. You're young when you do shit. You know, it's like no one's gonna judge. Nobody's gonna judge. I don't paint at all anymore now. Like in the past few years, not even being in this location to be able to like paint consistently, I've painted two things. I haven't painted like I don't paint anything, nothing. But these are the last two minis I painted, so I'd like to keep practicing and like get back into it, but I think there was another one as well, but I was in the middle of painting yeah, Dwarf Archer. Well, I will be painting more now that I want to play. Base coats, nothing crazy. Oops. We all have our strengths. Painting is not mine. I've got insane patience. You could see how long it's taking me to scrape this shit, so like I scrutinize everything way too much. This stuff looks so cool. I've never gotten into Warhammer myself, but I'm always intrigued. It's cool. I mean, anything miniature related I do like. But it's definitely a it's quite the task to be able to do stuff like this. Like from start to finish. You need to be committed. I've given up on projects in the middle of them, and it does not feel good, but sometimes you do just burn yourself out. And you need a spark to, like, reignite your interests. Yo, we're chilling. I want to be able to glue one thing today at least. Also, if you're going to be getting back into, like, Warhammer, dude, I believe the Wood Elves are being supported in the old world as, like, a core faction, so I think now's your time. You got to go sell the Sonic statues and just get Warhammer. That's the better investment. I'm sorry. If the Twitter Sonic fans find out you've got statues, they will come for them in literally more ways than one, as horrible as that sounds, and take them from you. Horrible, horrible Twitter community. Something is up with fandoms. Huh? I have to sell some because I don't have space. I collect stuff. I've always kind of collected stuff. I've been that way. My mom was that way too. It's good to kind of like trim down your collection eventually, just because like you may want new pieces and you don't have space for like those ones you want. You don't care as much about the older ones you have. Who's your favorite dwarf? I'll tell you this. The one dwarf that will always put a smile on my face every time you read or listen to them is Snorri Nosebiter. That guy is just... You cannot help but love Snorri. Even though it's kind of unfortunate what happens to him, but you know. When it comes to, like, who is your favorite dwarf, I mean... Let's just say Snorri for now. Yes, they are. You can see... Did the army book... Did the forces... Okay, does anyone here play Old World? No, we never caught the mouse, but we put traps down. Did the Wood Elves already get rules in the Forces of Fantasy? You'd have to check the new book. Or, like, there's a PDF officially of the legacy rules. Maybe they're in there. But the idea of the old world is to be able to play all your old stuff. Like, you're not going to be able to use named characters because named characters are not around during this time period unless they're, like, long-lived. So maybe you'll see some elves. Chances are you probably will, because you do see dwarves, and dwarves live a fraction of an elf's life. So, yeah, that's the point. Just nostalgia, right? Using old minis. No, we're not. No. We're temporarily here just to get things in order. Very busy. Out of all the things I have to fucking do and finish and clean up and, like, make space for Mochi, like I said before, I look out at like 4 a.m. into my living room and a baby mouse starts running around my carpet and runs under the couch. Like, shit ain't not getting easier, dude. So now we've got a bunch of cheese and peanut butter traps laying on the floor. So hopefully they catch the damn thing. You inspired me to play Total War rank battles as dwarves. Oh no, he's gonna barge. He's gonna bourge. You should try domination. It's a bit better. Land battles are very one-dimensional. They're fun one-offs to just kind of like play a game. But there's a lot of bullshit in land battles. Dwarves and domination. I mean, they don't really go anywhere from sitting on a point. This is the one. Oh, I have those cases too. Yeah, I've got a few of those. I even had a little name tag on mine that I'd bring in, and like we'd leave them in the GW, and it would say my name and my address and stuff like that. Yeah, I like those. And they are a better quality than the ones you get now from GW, but I don't think many people use those. You know, it's more of like, welcome to Games Workshop. This is your first time. Let me sell you stuff type of deal. $40K Total War would be good though. I mean, it would make money, and companies love money. Who doesn't love money? With money, you can buy gyrocopters and then take 3 years to build them because you're scraping a little belt that is pretty much never seen on the Mini. But I am committing to this, though, even though there's a billion fucking mold lines that the camera won't even pick up. Never happened. Waystalker? Are you talking about Waystalkers in, like, the old world? Or are you talking about, like, it's in your collection somewhere? Star Wars Total War. Someone told me about that, but, like, 40K in Star Wars Total Wars, if you could make them amazing, that's like $1 trillion immediately. Like, you're making bank. Oh, yeah, those are going to be in there for sure. Honestly, man, like, let me just, hang on. Old world wood elves. Forces of Fantasy, the Wood Elf faction. Okay, they're completely in the game. They are supported in the old world. They've got Eternal Guard, Dryads, Deepwood Scouts, Glade Riders, Glade Guard on horses. Wildwood Rangers, War Dancers, Treekin, Warhawk Riders, Wild Riders. Rare, you've got Way Watchers, Treemen, Great Eagles. Glade Lords, Spellweavers, Branch Wraith, Waystalker. Everything's there. Yeah. Named characters, not yet. Usually when the book comes out, they get named characters, but you can play Wood Elves. Imagine Starkiller as a unit. Isn't he just so OP, though? I mean, look, if you're going to make a fucking Total War Star Wars game, just field Vader. Field Yoda. Like, that's cool. I mean, armies are going to have mercenaries and all this shit, and you're going to play the Republic or the Empire and the Rebels, the Pike Syndicate. Like, that's cool. I didn't have any name characters. Yeah, so the way it works in the old world, I believe, is until they get the book, they don't get named characters. When the book comes out, that's when you're able to get, you know, Ungrim Iron Fist, right? Slayer King. And a bunch of just newly made characters for the setting. Like the Orcs and Goblins, I think, had 2 new characters that have nothing to do with lore. They were kind of made for, like, the old world. Which is cool. Named characters in previous editions were just so fucking expensive that you could never take them. And if you did, it was more of like, here's my fluffy, fun army. I'm not here to win. Like, a fourth of your army would be a named character, which is absurd. So, yeah. It's always like, holy shit, that's a named character in a tabletop game? That's cool. And then it's like the rest of your army's just non-existent. And that's the worst thing you could do as a tabletop game, is just kind of limit people's enjoyability of said game. Because the number one thing, if you want to get people to play your game, is make it accessible. Everyone needs to enjoy it. Not like water it down and shit on it so everyone likes it, but like entry is easy. They haven't said if it's in the Old Republic or what timeline. I mean, whatever makes the most money. Star Wars fans are rabid for good content. I don't blame them, but I think they're going to make it something familiar to most fans. No, Wood Elves had heroes. They had characters. They had what were they? The Sisters of Silence. They had who's the big goat fuck? What's his name? Who's the big goat guy with like the bow? After the rework, I don't know. I haven't looked at the Wood Elf books, but every army had named characters. Every army had named characters. So I'm pretty sure you might have missed it, but like even from 4th edition, they had named characters. I never played Wood Elves, nor have I read the book. No, the dude who runs the Wood Elves. The guy who comes out of the fucking the protector of the wood, dude. Not Malagor. Malagor's a beast man. That was extremely loud. Avidus, thank you, buddy. Orion, yeah, Orion. That's who he was. Orion with his like 2 hounds or some shit. Yeah. Conceptually, the Wood Elves were always cool. I like green things. Um, in nature is cool, but I could never be seen playing elves. I think this song is on turbo repeat. Holy fuck. I like high elves and dark elves a lot. Ooh. That's cool. I like the beasts of the dark elves. I like the Beastmaster aspect of it, where they kind of like subdue and herd off a bunch of like crazy creatures in the battle. How much do you get from a donated sub? It depends on how much you paid for it. I get less money on this channel than I do on Tobias Fate because I don't have the same partnership agreement. Cold One Nights are cool. Yeah, all those things are cool. Like, again, I feel like the Dark Elves, that aspect of them having like a bunch of wild fucking creatures that they've tamed and whatnot, or at least goaded into battle, is cool. It's just a whole nother can of worms for an army that could be so boring. Um, Whereas like the high elves don't have that shit, you know? High elves have like everything dark elves have, but the dark elves have monsters. High elves have eagles, like, okay, cool. I guess they have lions. That's also cool, sure. No sea monsters though. No fucking dinosaurs. $6. I probably get like $2.50, $3. Feral ones. So they've got. I mean, they could subdue creatures through like rune magic. Um, Way back when there was a bit of like lore where rune lords would create these runic collars, and they would place them on these beasts called shard dragons or shard drakes. And the shard drakes were like wingless creatures that would live in the deepest, darkest depths of mountains and whatnot, the earth. And so when the dwarves would delve deep, you know, as they always do, because their lust for gold is never sated, they'd encounter these beasts. And extremely fast, covered in spines, like impenetrable hide. How do you take care of these things? You know, dwarves can see in the dark to a degree. So, you know, surprisingly enough, they decide to like subjugate them and throw them into the enemy's lines instead of just like trying to kill them. So that is a thing. They can control creatures with like runic collars. Um, there's a lot they can do with rune magic if, you know, the lore would let them. But I think for the most part, that's not really too expanded on. It was just kind of like this old tidbit. And it's kind of weird. Like, if you were looking at a dwarven army and then you saw a beast shackled with like a collar with a bunch of like runes glowing around it, it would kind of like stand out like a sore thumb, you know? I don't think I'd like that personally. But it is cool. Dark elves are at least somewhat relatable. Um, what? FBI, FBI, this man right here. Well, I mean, high elves being like absolute arrogant douchebags, it's like we know better, we dress better, we smell better, we've been around for ages. Like, they do believe to be better than everyone else, you know? They're one of the elder races. Even more longer lived than dwarves, right? Dwarves, I think, live potentially like a third, maybe half the lifetime of an elf. Elves are what, 1,000 years old, maybe a bit more. I think some dwarves do get to live to like I think 500 at one point, which is so rare. But at that point, you're just a chunk of stone, like crippled and like huddling around, or not huddling, but kind of shuffling around. Oh yeah, there's things that are controlled by rune magic in Thoric's uh, army. All those fucking lizardmen beasts and whatnot. It's all rune magic. Dark elves usually the exiles or something like that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really an elf fan. I don't know much about the elves outside of they're gross. I haven't read their books, thankfully. My eyes have not been stained yet. But you know what's interesting? Is elves in fantasy don't even look. You know when you see like elves in typical fantasy settings and they're so beautiful and like perfect and slim features and it's like the ideal like form for people. In Warhammer they're kind of ugly. They look more like aliens in a way. Like elongated, skinny, like they resemble humans obviously, but their proportions are a bit lankier, much more lankier. The minis don't show it, I think, but like, yeah, they look a bit alienish, which is cool. I think that's cool. I mean, dwarves, again, even dwarves kind of look alienish, right? Big fucking brows, massive noses, like squat bodies, very broad shoulders. They look like little fucking jacked hulks. Well, the Hulk is jacked, but it is cool. Yeah, they're very much their own species, exactly, and that's so much cooler than having like elves are slender humans and look more perfect and they do everything so gracefully. It's like, yeah, they can do that stuff, but in fantasy, a human looking at an elf like, holy shit, that's a fucking elf. Or like looking at a dwarf, you know, it's not just a short dude, it's like actually a dwarf. Wilder designs. 6 eyes and multiple limbs? What are we talking about? Sounds like a fucking homunculus creation. Sounds like Tyler 1 from Sanjaro. He's a homunculus. I need to finish this piece so I could glue it. And I might just put a bunch of, like, Tamiya thin cement to get this down more, but... Dwarven droidicas. That's disgusting. Don't type that again. That shit's going in the book just for even thinking about that. What the fuck? That's vile. Maybe if it's like a dwarven droidica creation, not like a legitimate dwarf being like stretched into the proportions of a droidica, because that's vile. Bouncing art shots has got to be... For what? Bouncing art shots. Bouncing artillery shots? Artillery is so cool, but it's so unreliable. Shield wall mechanic. Kind of squat into a fully armored shell. Well, I mean, that would be like shield formations. Yeah, like he said, shield wall mechanics and stuff like that. Like, you could do that. That's cool. I mean, dwarves, when they fight anyways, wouldn't just be throwing their arms around, right? You know, when your center of mass is kind of down there and your shield's the size of your body, you're not moving. Like, you are an absolute brick. I think when there was a dwarf explaining dwarves. It was like a saying in one of the books or something. And he was explaining how they work in a fight, where, like, they all kind of are links in a chain, right? And when they're all together, they kind of make that big vest, the big chainmail, you know? So, like, you break one and they all kind of go, but if you can't, it's that big sturdy wall. Or there was another one where, like, all the dwarves make up, like, pieces of a mountain, and when they're all together, they can't be stopped. That's kind of what they are, you know? Big immovable walls. Big, very coordinated, like, masses of infantry. Immovable little buggers in it. They T-pose and spin axes and hands. That's an animation. Garagrim is so fucking good, man. He's actually so good in game. Anti-infantry Blender Lord, or Blender Hero, that's like giving everyone melee buffs, is pretty insane. And he's the son of Ungrim, which is awesome. The lore behind him is a bit weird though, because like, um, he was the only son of Ungrim. He tended the Slayer Shrine in Karak Kadrin, kind of like ferrying off people to their eventual demise and whatnot, preparing them to be Slayers. And his father is a king, but is also a Slayer. And his son was like, okay, I'm going to take your shame. I'm going to go out. I'm going to die honorably so you can be a king and be there for your people. And he said, okay, son, awesome. So Garagrim goes out. I don't think this is even canon anymore. This was during like the old Storm of Chaos supplement where it was Archaon against Vultan, and then they had Malachi and whatnot, or rather Garagrim with the Doomseekers. I think Malachi's Goblin Hewer, and Malachi was there, but I have to go look at the book again. And a Chaos Giant ends up falling on him, and he dies. And he was relieved. Ungrim was relieved of his Slayer duties, but having heard news that his son died, he's like, my son died, I'm taking the oath. What a shameful display. It's like, what? Like him giving the oath to like his kid, and then his kid dies, and he was kind of okay with that, so now it's a shame of his, and so he took up the Slayer oath again, and now he's still trying to like seek death while being a king. It's like, what do you do? Kind of weird, but I guess very dwarvish. Dwarf Jedi equals ripped Yoda. Okay. I don't know about that. Yoda's extremely fast. Dwarves are extremely fucking slow. I don't think it would be Yoda. Especially not Yoda in Attack of the Clones fighting fucking Count Dooku, because by God, that is not a dwarf. That is like an elf speed. Round and low to the ground, gravitationally enhanced, and hard to kidnap. Yeah, you can't really move dwarves. They move you. With their sweet, kind, caring words. I wonder how the fuck you're supposed to be getting all of these. Holy smokes. How do you get these? What a nightmare. Dwarven accents. Imagine a dwarf sounding like a human, though. Wouldn't that just be disgusting? Like, you wouldn't want to listen to it because it's just so vile and not right? At that point, it would just be a short person and not a dwarf. The new Grombrindle model? No. I'm going to try and pick it up locally if I can. It's like $50. I'm going to have to get it just because I collect all the Grombrindles, so I haven't picked it up yet, but I want to. What do you mean? T1 is not that bad. What? You think dwarves hate for new technology, speed to move to it, or inability to form alliances is more damaging to them? I mean, the fact that dwarves don't take. Well, the thing is, the dwarves have a very long-standing relationship with the Empire, with man. Happened way back when like I think it was it Grungni and Sigmar who were bros? I believe it was, right? Because Grungni's still around in Age of Sigmar, and he's still a bro to Sigmar. Um, they forged the fucking what are those swords called? The Rune Fangs. I believe he also forged Galmaraz, if I'm not mistaken. And saved the Empire way back when. I have to like read up on that again. It's been a while, but dwarves don't necessarily need more than that, right? Like the world's edge mountains are only surrounded by just the Empire. Like realistically, I think Bretonnia is all the way fucked off west, I think. So like you've got dwarven holds elsewhere in the old world, but if we're talking like straight up, you know, the peak of dwarves being in Krazakrak, I don't really think so. Like their relationship with the Empire's fine. They don't need much else. You know, they've got trade and whatnot going on with elves and what other race I guess they want to fuck with, but maybe not elves, eh? Either way, technology, they're too stuck in their ways to really advance any of that stuff at a rate that's like preserving their race. So I would say forget the alliances. You're already good with the Empire. And if you had the ability to like create things and have them be exceptionally safe and, you know, not so much spitting on what your ancestors did, then I think you'd be good. Because when it comes to creating things for dwarves, it takes them centuries to approve. Is it safe? No dwarven lives will be lost. Are you not spitting on what your ancestors did prior to this? Is this an invention even worth putting into practice and like, you know, getting out on the field and having it do something? They don't like shoddy things that just have no use, right? No practical use, no real reason to even be there. Which is kind of why Malachi exists in lore, to kind of say, fuck that. I mean, the guy made like a little machine that throws axes. It's like, is that practical? No, but he's just so crazy that he'd create stuff like that, right? So, I'm going to go with the engineering thing, honestly. If the dwarves wanted to, and they weren't so stuck, again, in their ways, but that's what makes them dwarves, like, no one could beat them in the old world. The only reason they're no longer a force to be, like, entirely problematic is they're so stagnant, right? They've been, over the centuries, dwindling and dwindling in technology and population, and they've just kind of, like, rotted away in their holds, you know? They just want to go delve and mine and do their own thing. And when problems arise, they're like, okay, let's go meet the problems head on. But they're not actively trying to, like, take over the world, you know? So, if they wanted to and their technology was, like, very current, yeah, they could do that. It's one of those things that I wish they did more of in lore and in tabletop, is just show off a bunch of creations that they've made because they've existed. right? The dwarves are extremely old as a race. And again, this is probably one of their lowest times compared to what came before what they have now. That explains the Chaos Dwarf divide, adding souls into mechs and other stuff. I mean, that's just kind of their way, I suppose. I haven't really read much on Chaos Dwarves, but I know the gist of it. They don't have the original traditions of, like, dwarves, right? They don't care about their beards. They're not so much gonna sit there and make something that spits on the face of the ancestors, because, like, in their minds, the ancestors betrayed them. They left them to die. So, like, why would you honor any of them ever? So yeah, the Chaos Dwarves, they make a bunch of shit. That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you see what the Chaos Dwarves create, and then you apply that to dwarves who are, I'd even say, better off at making stuff, personally, like, you're going to have a lot of cool shit. Mordheim was a skirmish game, like a campaign skirmish game, in the city of Mordheim, which was like this one great town that, not town, it's a city. It was like a one great city that had a giant fucking, like, comet smash into it, and, all the loot and crap was kind of left there, so now you've got warbands kind of roaming into Mordheim to, like, take everything that was left behind. Yeah. Was Mordheim... Was the city of Mordheim, I guess, yeah? Wasn't it it was a giant warpstone comet, right? If memory serves me well. Yeah, I've got Mordheim stuff, actually. I collected a bit of the minis just because they had like really cool bits, backpacks and different hand weapons and stuff like that. Because the big thing about Mordheim was the customizability of individual characters. Essentially, you'd, again, create a warband, and each character in the warband did something specifically, and, they had all their different weapons, like, tweak stats, and you'd play with them over a set amount of games, and they'd kind of level up, and you'd give them more stuff, and you give them better weapons. It was a campaign system, essentially. It was meant to be this progressive, like, ongoing conflict with your set of guys, and people loved it, and people still do play it. Giant city, giant warpstone. I think it was, I mean, clearly it was like, it had to have been rich, or the people in it had to have been, like, pretty wealthy, because, like, warbands do go in. The witch hunters were beautiful. The Mordheim sculpts are amazing. I love them. I think they're fucking awesome. All of them had so much flavor, lots of character, tons of, like, oddball things that you would never see in, like, standard Warhammer Fantasy. It's cool. It's really fucking cool. I think I have a little bit of Mordheim stuff. Again, I've collected dwarves for so long, so I probably have it if it's dwarf related. So, got sealed blisters. I've got a cannon. There's a bag of treasure hunters, some beardlings, and a champion. And I think I've also got slayers somewhere. So the cool thing about Mordheim, again, was the ability to customize stuff. And, oh, there's a troll slayer in here, too. You could give them, like, different hand weapons. The backpacks were really cool, too. They had, like, flasks and handguns and knives, ammunition, stuff like that. The beardlings. The younger dwarves, obviously without big, massive beards, pretty fucking ugly to look at because, like, dwarves need beards. Um, but, cool. Champion. I think I've got a bit more. In terms of customization, though, you had the ability to give them, like, crossbows and handguns and great weapons, all that crap, shields. Where does this even go? I haven't looked at this stuff in years. I do like the backpack bits, though. I think they're awesome. You could even have these on, like, rangers. But there's more. This is not all the sculpts. I think this is literally this one Troll Slayer. You've got the Beardlings. You've got the standard, like, dwarves. I think they're just called... What are they called? I don't even know what they're called. Dwarf warriors. Tons of bits, but yeah, they're cool. Grombrindle isn't a mage. He's well, how do you explain this? How do you explain what Grombrindle is? He was reforged and brought back by Grungni into Age of Sigmar, but he is the spirit of Snorri Whitebeard, one of the more prominent High Kings, who, of course, made the whole agreement with Malekith that nothing would ever become of our people, negative. And, of course, Malekith said, fuck that, I want power, and let's take out the High Elves, and I'll usurp the throne, whatever. And so the War of Vengeance happened, and eventually it got so bad that, like, he just manifested himself back in. But when it comes to Grombrindle, he's more of a... he's like a protector of... He's the like the manifestation of an oath being broken, I suppose, but he's more of, like, the protector of dwarves. He wants to, like, guide them in the right direction and watch over them. AOS, I think, shows... There's a novel that was written. It's called Grombrindle, Chronicles of the Wanderer. And it has him kind of just show up to, like, different dwarven societies. So, like, he ends up showing up to a brewery as, like, a long beard, or a fire lodge as some fucking fire slayer, or aboard a Caradron ship, kind of, like, giving them guidance and helping them out. But he's, like, the only two dwarves that made it, I guess you could say three, from Fantasy to Age of Sigmar was Grungni, Gotrek, and Grombrindle. Like, they've been around forever. Pretty sure Valaya's, like, talked about in lore. Grimnir's obviously gone for the time being. He doesn't use magic, no. I wonder, unless it's explained somewhere, I don't think I know how he manifests. How does Grombrindle just manifest into reality? Do you know what I mean? Like, because he is this ethereal being, so it should be magic, realistically. It should be some sort of magic, because I don't know how it works. Well, I mean, there are dwarven... there are ghosts of things in One of the Gotrek and Felix books, I think it was literally the first book. Um, they do end up meeting Belagar, and they go down and they fight a giant like fucking chaos troll. But right before that, there are ghosts, dwarven ghosts that do show up. But I think at that point something just fell in the background. Oh, it was the giant poster. I don't know, man. It's weird. Probably is magic. I mean, what else would it be? But dwarves and magic don't really go hand in hand. Did you end up having a good team today? No, we did not. We had no good teams today at all, unfortunately. I don't think you get on League and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna have a good team today. I just think what you're given is what you're given, and it's not the best thing. I gotta look into that though. How is Grombrindle manifested into the world? I think they did explain it somewhere, but I might have forgotten. Because he does come from... He was created by Grungni, or at least brought back on... whatever the fuck, the Anvil of Creation or some shit. Hammered him back to life with, like, the essence of something. I actually think it's in that novel. I just forgot. I haven't read shit that only played Total War games. Yeah, I mean, Total War does a pretty good job, but, like, if you really want to know the nitty-gritty, you're probably better off going on, like, a wiki or reading a book. That's usually where that information is. Or just Googling, like, you know, how the fuck does Grombrindle manifest himself? We'll just Google it right now. How does Grombrindle manifest himself? Hmm. Because Grombrindle can take on any form. He usually comes to dwarves as like whoever. Again, in the Grombrindle book, he ended up showing up as like a long beard in a bar, or a fire slayer in a lodge, watching over like a kid's birth or something like that. That was the first bit in the book. But again, he's just kind of there to guide the dwarves and I guess right now reunite them all together because they're such a shattered faction, or a shattered like race. You know, fire slayers mending with or middling with Caradron and shit like that. Like, it's just not common. They're so different. Different parts of the world, different like realms. Not always, but you know. No, that was my thing. I tried to search for something. Valhalla like? Well, I mean, there is a dwarvish afterlife. Like, the idea is, you know, you want to meet the your ancestors in the halls of whatever the hell they called it. It's not like you just die and you're gone type of deal. I think when it comes to Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, they've really pushed that. Where like every single race has deities, and you know, in Age of Sigmar, it just so happens that they were all real, and you know, they've been kind of like forging their own things and doing their own stuff to kind of like retake the mortal realms in some way. Who knows? There's so much fucking lore written about everything in Warhammer that, like, remembering all of it is kind of a chore. It's either very fresh in your mind or you have to go jog it on, like... Yeah, I'll check. Yeah, in a little bit. In a little bit, that's fine. Oh, she said there's no fucking audio. In a little bit! I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to know about anything, check the wiki. Like, if you have questions about something in Warhammer, because absolutely not everything can be remembered, just check the wiki. The wiki is like the one place you want to be. I'm watching Twitch right now. I'll remember. Yeah, it's good. Or watch YouTube videos, right? Because that information is somewhere in a book or in a magazine. It's just the wikis have taken that information and placed it there so you can learn. And that's how most people kind of get into Warhammer lore anyways. It's like if you're not reading the books or, you know, skimming around through some articles, you're probably on the wiki. Or watching a YouTube video, which is always useful as well. It's just, as of right now, I think everything has been explained somewhere. I don't think there's any real Warhammer lore that hasn't been, like, covered somewhere. Because it is a very long-standing universe, and it has a lot of fans. With a lot of people who want to share the passion with others. Okay, I need to clean this piece up, and then it's supposed to be glued with this. And then that little belt goes here. In there. What a nightmare. Before the Black Library, we passed down stories verbally. Yeah, fucking write them on, like, cave walls and everything. Well, I mean, like, the lore of things has always been, I guess, initially rooted in, like, what? There was tidbits in White Dwarfs. They had the army books, I think, contained a bit of lore as well, like the very early ones. And then eventually, yeah, Black Library came out, and there's like a bunch of novels written now about every race, and you can kind of know more. More than what the codexes tell you, or army books. You just have to know where the information is. That's it. Like, it's out there, just go find it. Or have someone tell it to you. It is a crazy time trying to look up Warhammer lore. Well, if this is done, yeah, I will paint it. Maybe not immediately, but I'd like to. Or I could just be painting, because I still have this guy that I didn't finish. I only did, like, base coats on him. I wouldn't mind painting this. I was painting a few Dwarf Warriors for fun. I was even supposed to be painting a Goblin, but I never got around to it. I haven't had time, but... Google. You could, yeah, Google is good. Google's very good. See, that's the interesting thing about the human brain. Some people can remember a lot of things, other people not so much. And I would love to be able to store so much information in my head and be able to, like, recite it whenever I need to. But if I read something 5 to 6 years ago, I'm not going to remember it. Especially since I've read, like, things well past that point. You know, you have to go back and, like, skim it and be like, oh, that's what it was about. Okay. Give it a second, you know, read through or watch. Okay, not this album again. Yep. You got to train your brain. Train your brain. Looks great. Thank you, buddy. I would like to paint more, but I also need to build more. I just need to do more of the hobby in general. It's more of a curse than a blessing. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, some things are better forgotten, I suppose, but it's cool to just know stuff, you know? It's cool to know stuff and to be able to share information with others. History. Write it down. Remember it forever. Put it on a wiki. Share the knowledge. Short memory these days because of technology. I mean, I don't know, dude. Whatever it is, you're probably right, but it's also just, I guess, depending on the content that you're into, it could be very, there could just be so much of it that, like, every time you look into something and you want to remember it, it's just another thing added to the pile of things that you're trying to remember. And that pile is God knows how long. It's not like, you know, driving and, you know, you sit there learning the course and you remember everything and it becomes second nature. Like, that's great. But when it comes to books and information, I don't expect anyone to be sitting around remembering every single thing in a book unless they've read it repeatedly for years, you know? Depends on how interested you are in a topic. If you if you're really into it, you'd remember it. To a degree, yes. To a degree, I would say so, but again, it just depends on how much content there is. So much out there. It's like, oh, I'm really into 40K. Okay, go recite every single 40K event ever. What? How do you do that? Go recite every single Horus Heresy conversation in the books, word for word, or you don't know the Horus Heresy. What? You're not a fan. How could you not know that? Sounds like gatekeeping to me. I mean, well, I'm just saying that's in a response to what he's saying. It made us lazy to remember even a phone number. Yeah, phone numbers are... Well, I mean, you either need to remember phone calls and numbers, or you just ignore everyone and be a hermit. Which, I don't know how good that would be, but, you know. What? Yeah, I read your message. I'm gonna... Give me, like, 10 minutes. This woman. This... God damn it, woman, I'm making a gyrocopter! What the hell? I'm making my dwarves! You will leave me alone until I finish, god dang it, woman! I will build these plastic miniatures from Games Workshop, and you will wait 5 minutes. No, she wants dinner. I don't blame her. I'm kind of hungry, too, considering I look like a fucking bloated bean. So I'm going to get out of here in about 10 minutes. You know what's funny? A guy came in here earlier, and he said, oh, yes, Tobias Fate stream. He cleans up 3 mold lines, and he's done. It's not 3 mold lines, but it's 3 pieces. It's close enough. Craft. I don't even know what we're going to be eating. We'll see. Hopefully the mouse in my living room is also eating the cheese and peanut butter in the mousetrap, so I don't have to see him again. It's just another algae scheme. True. It's just another algae scheme. I see many leaders here, but do you even speak for your own people? High King, this is no time for short-sightedness. Damn. That shook Thorgrim right to his fucking bone. His bones. Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's not even the right piece. What am I doing? Fucking scraping a piece I've already scraped. My brain is so off. My brain is so off. I was scraping pieces I've already scraped. Holy. At that point, it's just like second nature, brain autopiloting to scrape the same mold line because I've been scraping it for like 2 hours straight. Although, to be fair, these mold lines are disgusting. And they're only disgusting because I have a problem. And, like, the normal human being on this earth would never care about things stuck in, like, cogs or rivets. But when I see a mold line, and I've realized it hasn't been scraped, it was more of an oversight than me being lazy. And I don't like it. If I spend so much money on this hobby, I at least want it to look good. Rubes, yo, buddy. Imagine a stream cleaning the same piece for 3 hours. I think I've done that. I think I've unironically done that. Then again, there was many distractions, but... You can't really see all of the, like, micro scratches, or not scratches, but micro scrapes. Once you put paint over this thing anyways, it's not really going to show up as much, but for me, knowing that it's there is a problem. That's my biggest gripe, is if I know it's there and I didn't do anything with it, it pisses me off. Fun is about the cleaning. Nobody says that. Nobody says the fun in Warhammer is scraping mold lines. People enjoy scraping mold lines because it's chill, but it's not the hobby. You know what I mean? The worst part is scraping mold lines. I'm not going to come back tonight. It's a bit too late. Main channel, I'm an OG 85-month streamer. Here I'm a pleb. Forget how old that feels. Or forgot how odd that feels, sorry. I mean, 85 months on this channel sounds good to me. If only you could have badges showing, like, where you've been and what you've done. That'd be cool. You know, like having a badge saying 85-month subscriber on, like, Tobias Fate. That'd be cool. Because I do appreciate that. That's a long time, man. Maybe I'll even give VIPs. That could be something. Do I paint? I do, but not right now. So in the last few years, because I haven't been here at this setup for very long, I've painted two things. Ivana, I've painted a few more things, but I don't have them here. Ivana's painted some stuff. Ivana painted Night Haunt a while ago. This was her first Warhammer mini, or like her first bit of painting Warhammer, I suppose. So I forgot what these guys were called. I think they were chain gas or some shit. She painted these. She wanted to go with like a galaxy theme for like the ethereal bits and the cloaks. She did Alexander. I 3D printed Alexander and then she painted him and did the basing and everything. Kind of gets washed out a bit, but, you know. Cool. What I've done over the last few years, again, I don't have much time here, so I've painted two dwarves. So I did one from like Lord of the Rings, and I did one from Warhammer Fantasy. So two dwarf warriors. I'd like to paint more, but I just don't. I don't have time. And I'm a slow painter, builder, everything. So. Damn, I love gradients. Yeah, she's good at what she does. I mean, she knows, I mean, she does art for a living, so, like, she kind of knows what she's doing, to a degree. Elden Ring, the pot colors. I remember this one, it turned out good. They all turn out really good, except she got bored of painting, so she decided to stop. She painted a bunch of, she did, like, the basic Night Hunt troops, and she says, this is so boring. How do you paint 30 things at once? I don't blame her. But, like, if you want to keep something fresh, you do it differently. That's why for every Dwarf Warrior, I'm painting them differently, so it's fresh. And it wouldn't get tedious. Ivana, give me 2 minutes and I'm done. I just praised you for how good your painting was, and now you're here belittling me with Twitch emotes. Because someone is hungry. Well, I mean, gradients and, like, wet blending and all that stuff, like, it makes the minis look awesome, but it's such a, like, it's a bit of labor. You know, you got to kind of put work into it. Unless you paint for a living, you know, you look at it like, oh, it's just another Tuesday. But for people that don't, it can be a little bit tedious. Okay. Painting, I mean, this hobby should be fun. If you find something tedious or boring, I don't blame you, but overall, your experience in doing this stuff should be more positive than negative, you know? Like, people do dislike scraping mold lines, and I don't blame you for that. It's true. Mold line scraping fucking sucks. Um, but it's part of the process if you want your stuff to look a bit better. Not like you have to do it, obviously. Scraping mold lines is completely optional. Yeah. Okay, soon. 5 minutes. Oh my god, okay. She wants food. Give me 1 sec. This female in my house! This woman! Okay. You're taking away my valuable Warhammer time! God damn it! The ancestors smite you! 1 sec. My poster. Oops. We're back. I had to smite her with my hammer. I had to drop the gyro bombs on her in game. When do we get more Warhammer Total War multiplayer? Why can't I read? When do we get more Warhammer 3 multiplayer? after July. Or, sorry, not, June. June to July. June to July. Okay. June to July is when you get it. I never had a big beard. I'm genetically defective. I can't grow big beards. And I shaved my face a bit because I started to look homeless. When your girlfriend's family says you look like a fucking homeless person, you know who? Okay, he basically said I look like a scuffed, like, fat Jack Sparrow. Like a homeless Jack Sparrow. And Jack Sparrow's kind of homeless, right? Yeah. When you hear that compliment, you're like, oh, Jesus. God. So I shaved a bit. Next step, lose weight. The weight loss journey comes July. When we can be situated here and I can wake up every day here, I'm going to start doing weight loss. We've also got a cooking stream planned with healthy food in July for HelloFresh. I need to turn my life around, man. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I got to stream more. I got to do more. This is going to be good for you. Yeah, this summer will be good, man, honestly. My mental health is going to go through the roof. 6 foot. 6 foot, like 240 pounds at this point or something. I don't even know. You smell like Captain Jack Sparrow. Is that an insult? Or sorry, you smell like Jack Sparrow is an insult. The look is kind of like a compliment. I mean, I think they said both. Hope you're doing well. I am doing good, sir. I'm doing very good, thank you. We're going to be getting out of here very soon, unfortunately, but we managed to scrape like 3 pieces. So not far off from like what was said earlier in stream about completing stuff. Also, how the fuck do you put the flying base in here? How do you put the bulb? Does the bulb just like get pushed in? I haven't built one of these things in years. How does that even work? Oh, it is. Oh, it does just kind of plop in. Cool. I didn't cut my hair. No, Ivana kind of butchered it, so it's a bit short now. But I didn't do it myself. I need to change that soon. I can't even look at myself in the shower lately. Yeah, I mean, look, dude. Life happens, and you get fat and you get ugly, but, like, you can always turn yourself around. You got to look at the positives in life. The weight loss journey, that is one of them. Nobody wants to be obese. That's just copium. I can't sit here and say I'm loud and proud and in charge with this belly. It's like, no, I'm morbidly obese. I gotta lose some weight. It's one thing to accept yourself, but you should never accept being fat, because that's not a good existence. Gym stream. Probably not. Probably not. This is more of like a low-key me type of thing. Maybe like on stream, I was donated money to buy an exercise bike or a machine, so I'm going to do that and then maybe do it on stream. But mirror sneak peek before getting into the shower is a sad one. Hey, man, you can always turn your life around. Like, I am fat. I've accepted that for a while now, and I've also accepted that I need to exercise because being this way is not fucking healthy. And I want to look better. I need the mirror to clip my head only. I mean, look, man, life happens, and for whatever reason, you know, you may gain a lot of weight and be a certain way and you don't like it, but you can always turn your shit around. That's the thing you got to remember. It's not over just because you're fat. You don't look fat. Bullshit. Look at my face. Trust me, I'm big. I'm not like ginormous big, but I'm big enough to the point where I dislike myself, but not depressingly so. Like, I don't wake up and say, oh, I'm so morbidly disgusting. I hate waking up because I'm so fat. Because I know I can work on it, right? Gaining weight, losing weight, just put in the work, you know? Do you want to look jacked? No, I just want to lose weight. Unless I'm trying to, like, flaunt my strength as I create Warhammer Dwarves. Yeah, I think I just want to be healthier. I just want to be healthier. Well, I mean, whatever it is, it's not so much aesthetic, it's more so health. Right? Like if you I mean, to each his own, you like what you like, you know, some people do like bigger people and whatnot, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like for the sake of health, more so than looks, it is important. Right? The looks will come if that's what you prefer. Obviously when you lose weight. But like more so it's please don't screw my heart over, right? Pizza yo buddy. I mean, hey, you like what you like, man. That's cool. I'm for it, but as someone who has been skinny and is now fat and has done like the opposite, you know, it's not good. I don't prefer myself this way than I do the other way. More fat means more love to give. Can't give as much love if you're not even there for fucking loving. More fat means less time to love if you have a heart attack. Like, oh man, I don't sit here and cope. Like, no, I'm big. My goal is to be as skinny as possible. I want my waist to fit between his hands. What? What's your weight goal? Okay, the lowest I've ever been was I think 160, 170. I'm now 60 to 80 pounds heavier. So like, I'm a big dude. I gotta lose weight. I gotta lose weight. I used to be like, yeah, 160, 170. Oh, burly people versus I'm talking about obese people. Obese is not healthy. You can be big and stocky, that's different, but like I'm fat. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not. Like I'm fat. It is what it is. 6 foot. Started a month ago. I'm hovering around 200. I mean, honestly, man, you just got to keep up with it, dude. The way I lost my weight initially was going for runs every day and eating healthy. Never went to the gym, never did any of that stuff. You know, I lifted a few weights here at the place, but consistent exercise with like music going on is kind of what I did. And it worked out. I lost a bunch of weight. It felt good. Waking up was awesome. All you need is a bit of motivation, you know? Some people think life is so fucking impossible, but it really isn't. When it comes to hitting your goals and being a certain weight and looking a certain way, it's like, it'll take time, but you got to work at it. If you really want it, you'll keep up with it. Motivation for sure. Because motivation is what drives everything else. If you're not motivated, you won't be doing it, period. It's like you want something, but how badly do you want it? You know, and can you keep consistency throughout the years to get to that point? Like sitting down and working on Warhammer is infinitely easier than going out for a walk. Right? In my opinion. Like going out for a walk, putting shoes on and opening the door, fuck that. I just sit down and scrape plastic. And then doing that every day, yeah, you know. I can't keep up most times. Yeah, I was kind of the same way, but again, you need someone to like motivate you or something to kind of like push you in that direction every time because you're never going to get it done. It's like working on a Warhammer army and giving up halfway through it, which is what I've done before. You need to just keep going. You really, really do. At least if you want it. I really want to glue something. Can I fucking glue something, please? Without looking at this 30 times in a row? Well, I mean, fuck that guy. What the fuck? What the? It's like, what a fucking bozo. Hello? What? You just gotta surround yourself with good people. If you don't, your life will suck. Surround yourself with good people, brother. Helicopter. Helicopter, helicopter. It's just very slow going. Because once I glue a certain spot together, I cannot get back in here, and so I just want to make sure everything is done before I fuck with it. Like, realistically, these two pieces should be perfect right now. '16th-century helicopter. For dwarves, yeah, sure. Yeah. Have you seen the other iterations of gyrocopter? Hang on. This is the goat. That's the goat. I hated looking at this for so many years until I saw the newer one, and the newer one being like tail end of like what 8th edition. Um, I love this. It's just so. I don't like the gun on the front, little steam gun. It just looks like a fucking water park like piece of weaponry. But the actual thing is just so different. Like, I know this looks amazing, but there is something just. This is just so charming. I don't know, man. It's cool. And it's made out of wood, which is a bit different. The gun looks like a fire truck hose. Yeah, the gun is shit. I don't like the gun. If I was to if I was to build this kit, which I probably should, I would try and mount the gun under here, kind of like how the gyros have it now. Because this really does look like some sort of like fucking wacky cartoon gun. Like, is he one-handing the weapon while throwing bombs and driving? Like, what the hell is he even doing? So, or you can maybe have the gun like poking out the front would be cool, maybe. But there is something about this that is just so much cooler than this. But this is still amazing. Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's an old show. Yo, peace, buddy. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's fine. I'm just a big guy. I'd prefer to lose weight, is all I'm saying. I'm going to get out of here in like probably 5 minutes or so to go eat. My goal is to gain weight, eat McDonald's. Problem solved. The gun is always on the top. It's meant to be used against other flying units. I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. But, like, when it comes to gyrocopters, I mean, what are you shooting at, like, dragons with steam? It's not really going to do much. There aren't many things that fly in fantasy that really compete with gyros if they can get a few shots off. At least I'm talking, you know, basic creatures and whatnot that have wings. Mochi measurements. I'm like 6 mochis tall. Music on or no music while working on sculpts? Like, cleaning this up, music is better. If you just sit here in absolute silence working on something like this, you're just going to go insane. The gun is used on top on that copter might be just the pilot manually aiming it. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, the more you advance, the more you make stuff, and now you don't have to manually aim it. You just kind of, like, point the thing in a right direction and, like, push a lever, and you're done. Advancements. Technology. Technology. You're good. You're way good, dude. You're good. I've only got 2 weeks, though. So just let me know before then. I did set up my new light. You can't really see it, but it's right here. No, you can't see it. I like it. I think you'll like the lights. Because there are two of them, and they're very good. But I think for the sake of my setup, having one light instead of two is perfection. You have definitely rekindled my love for dwarves. Excuse me, it's DWARFS. DWARFS is dwarfs in Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, dwarves are cool though, man. Very, very cool. You can't not but appreciate their hard work and determination and love of family, good food, and craftsmanship. And oaths. But maybe not oaths that are made like centuries before you're even out of the sack. You know what I mean? I'm kidding, dude. I'm fucking with you. That's like a very gatekeepy thing. You didn't pronounce dwarfs right. You didn't spell it right. I'll look at it soon just because I'm going offline here in a sec. I mean, there's a lot to love in Warhammer Fantasy, or just any GW thing, right? Motivation, mining, smithing, and fucking living in their own little mountain holes. The thing about dwarves is that they were once very numerous. They were once very um, powerful in the old world. There was no force that could ever stop the dwarves from like doing whatever the fuck they wanted, right? And they've kind of always just been about themselves, right? You know, they'll go out and they'll trade and do stuff with other races, but they really just want to sit in mountains and toil and make things and exist, you know? Dwarves don't want to go out and conquer the world. That's not them. Their existence is good family, good food, and making cool shit. Conflicts usually arise when people fuck with dwarves. Dwarves don't want to go out and start fucking with people for fun. They're more so defend what we have, cater to that stuff, and then if there is a problem, we will go out and take care of the problem just to come back and live peacefully and do our own thing. So that's really it, honestly. I can build and build units for days, but once it's time to paint, I can't commit at all. Just try painting, like, one-offs. Just do one-offs, right? Paint for fun. You don't need to paint an army. If you want to play the game, you do, but Wonder, yo, buddy. I guess it also doesn't necessarily help dwarves, but, like, them being so innately, like, lusting for gold and gems and jewels and whatnot, like, you wonder why they sit in mountains all day, you know? If they have this innate desire to have more gold. Yeah, exactly. The gold sickness. In one of the Gotrek and Felix books, it was in Dragon Slayer. They're in the lair of the beast, and accompanying them were a few slayers. And I'm not going to spoil everything, but essentially there's, lo and behold, a giant pile of gold. And, you know, slayers are all about kind of like redeeming themselves in battle and taking out the largest foe and kind of fulfilling their oaths and making up for their past shames. And there's a slayer who stares off at the gold and is just so awestruck, right? Like, oh, so much money. I love the money. I need it. And I think he went around and like started fucking. They're fighting a dragon right next to him, and he's jumping around in it, throwing it everywhere. And I believe it just squatted him, something like that. Or maybe it might have been at like the end of the fight or something where he'd seen it and he just kind of got mushed. So it's a problem. It's definitely an issue that is deeply rooted in their being. Very typical dwarf. Very greedy. Extremely greedy. Well, I mean, yeah, when you sit in a mountain all day and when deep below the mountains you've got tons of different precious minerals and God knows what else, like, dwarves live in mountains for that reason. They dig and dig and dig to gain more ores and gems and jewels and whatnot, and then they hoard it. That's what they do. There is no race in the old world that can compete with dwarves when it comes to, like, anything in that sphere. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta go, folks. I didn't forget. I have to go. I will be on tomorrow. So with that being said, I gotta go. Everybody, take care. Be well. Stay safe. Yes, that you're a little bit late, and I haven't even glued anything, but I'm close to, like, putting this together. It's actually these 4 things go on first. This goes here. That goes like that, and then you get this. No, I didn't. This goes like this, and then this goes like this. That's what it's supposed to look like. Anyways, I'm going to go. I will see you all tomorrow. Everyone take care, stay safe, be well, and I will catch you then, but I do really have to go. Corn in his skulls is the closest thing to dwarfs in their gold. I mean, basically, right? They are addicted to that stuff. All right, take care, folks. Be well, stay safe. I will see you later.